Here is the story box. It's a box full of hidden treasure. Not perhaps the treasure you might imagine, but treasure all the same. It's a box of stories. And today, the story is the story of the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. It's a story about Jesus. I wonder if there are any other stories that you know about Jesus. Jesus and his disciples were making their way across the lake. They were going to have some time of rest and relaxation. But as they approached the shore, they could see that there was a large crowd of people. The people had come looking for Jesus. I wonder if you go looking for Jesus sometimes. I wonder how easy you find it to find him. Jesus got out of the boat and found himself in the middle of a great crowd. Some say there were 100, some 1,000, and some as many as 5,000 people. The disciples joined him on the shoreline. And Jesus started to talk to the crowd. The people listened very carefully. And Jesus told them about how much God the Father loved them. I wonder if you can hear how much God the Father loves you. Jesus didn't just tell them about God. He showed them God's love and power by healing the sick, that all the people had brought to him. I wonder if you know anyone who is sick. I wonder if you will ask Jesus to heal them. People just loved to be with Jesus. They could sit and listen to him all day. And that's just what they did. They listened all day until it was almost dark. The disciples were getting hungry. Their tummies were rumbling And one disciple said to another, "Go and tell Jesus that the people are hungry and should go home now. And then we can go and get something to eat." So one of the disciples went to Jesus and asked him if it wasn't time that the people went home. Jesus turned to the disciple and said, "You give them something to eat." Well, if the disciples were a bit hungry and grumpy before, they were really grumpy now. One of his disciples went to him and said, "But for everyone to have just a mouthful, it would cost us a fortune. We don't have all that money. We don't even have anywhere to buy food." Jesus had asked them to do what seemed to be impossible. I wonder if anybody ever asked you to do something that seems impossible. But then another of the disciples brought to Jesus a small boy. He'd come out of the crowd. I think he was 4, but nearly 5. The boy had with him 2 fish and 5 loaves. He was pleased to share, and he handed it all over to Jesus. Wonder if you are pleased to share what you have. Then Jesus took the bread and the fish and held it up to his heavenly Father and asked his heavenly Father to bless the bread and the fish. And then he gave it to his disciples, telling them to go and distribute the bread and the fish to the people in the crowd. And so they went and fed all the crowd that were gathered round. Everyone was fed. Everyone had more than enough. And as if that wasn't miraculous enough, Jesus gave the disciples a basket to collect the crumbs. The disciples went around collecting all the leftovers. They filled not 1, not 2, not even half a dozen. They filled 12 baskets full of crumbs. The crowd of 5,000 people and the disciples and the little boy, of course, were totally surprised. I wonder if Jesus has any surprises for you today. I wonder